Okay, hey everyone. There's been a lot of news. I'm sure most of us are aware of it by now, but to reiterate, uh, Bob Woodward, Bob Woodward has a book about Trump coming out, and one of the revelations is that Trump told Woodward on tape that he knew the virus was deadly, more deadly than the flu, more that it was airborne. Not it did not spread through touch, but through air, and that he was, by his own words, downplaying the virus to the public. This was back in February 7th. This was back when he was still claiming that it would go away in the summer. This is when he was claiming that we did not need masks. He lied to us and he cost people lives. He has cost us hundreds of thousands of lives with his deception. And with this book coming out, obviously it's created a huge scandal for Trump, but that doesn't mean that his simps cannot still go out there and defend him. That they cannot find some way to twist this in his favor and to apologize on his behalf. So we're going to watch Tim Pool, my favorite man ever. We're going to watch him defend Trump, try to make us forget that Trump's lies led to the deaths of like hundreds of thousands of people. By the way, this is just confirming something that I think we all, at least all on the left here, suspected that Trump knew about the dangers, or that at least he was not erring on the side of caution here. He did not want to deal with the reality of COVID. That much has been clear, but now we know that he actually did know for a fact about the dangers, about how it spread, and he still continued to lie. And we're going to watch Tim Pool defend this. Let's see how Tim pulls it off. Come on, play.
Out here.
Sorry, guys. Okay, no, go back. Go back. There we go.
So here is the big story that's sweeping the nation. Woodward book. Trump says he knew coronavirus was deadly and worse than the flu while intentionally misleading Americans. I'm not going to play any games. I'm not even going to bury the lead. I'm going to go straight down and show you the quote. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. And there it is. We're done. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you. No, I'm just kidding. Trump admitted to Woodward on March 19th that he deliberately minimized the danger. I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. I have tremendous respect for that. What should he have done?
I think he did the right thing.
Well,
Okay. This is what the Trump team is latching onto. Those last few words where he said he did it because he did not want to create a panic. And Tim Pool just accepts that. And everybody on the Trump team is trying to force that down our throats. That we should actually be thankful that it was actually a wise decision. He didn't want to create a panic. Do you like panics? Do you like panics, bruh? Do you like those? Do you want a panic? Trump was just trying to avoid a panic. That's why he lied to us for months about a deadly virus that was spreading across the country. That's why he didn't want to create a panic. Does Tim realize that he's giving a bailout to every politician, every leader? He's giving them a get out of jail free card. Because if we hold Trump to this standard of, well, you didn't want to create a panic, we have given every politician an excuse. Because what can they do? Whatever decision they make, whatever lies they tell, They can just say they didn't want to create a panic. They didn't want to create a panic. When Bill Clinton lied about his affair with Monica Lewinsky, he just didn't want to create a panic. He didn't want to, he didn't want to embarrass the nation, right? When Nixon was lying about Watergate and the Vietnam War, he just didn't want to create a panic. Come on, guys. Got to keep that morale up. I mean, if you knew your president was a crook, that would be a bummer across the nation. We don't want to bum people out. So Tim, who his entire thing is that he is anti-establishment. We don't hold our leaders accountable. The great thing about Trump is he comes in there and he just wrecks the entire system. And now we might actually get to a place where we do have accountable leaders. We do have people we can trust. Like, that's a big talking point on the right, is that at least we can trust Trump. Like, he talks so much without any filter that, we can trust him, right? Well, actually, he's been a proven liar on so many things. Like, it's impossible to keep track of. But this is taking it to a new scale, a profoundly grim scale. And Tim has decided that he's fine with politicians lying. He's fine with them deceiving the nation for months on end and not receiving any pushback, any blowback, being held accountable. All of a sudden, Tim has become a fan of all of these things because he don't like panics. He do not like those panics.
I think that panic is our worst enemy. We talked about this a long time ago.
Oh, this must be new Adam. So Tim, he had another partner for his podcast. His name was Adam. He's gone on to create his own podcast now. So Tim had to go out and find a new Adam, which is what we will call this gentleman here, because he looks exactly like Adam. I'm guessing he's going to make the exact same points as Adam. Do you think Tim pulls these people aside before an episode and he says, okay, so we're going to talk about the Trump thing, but we gotta stay on message here. Like, we can't let this, make him look bad, right? So just follow my lead, nod, repeat the words I said, and we should be good. Because if we accidentally criticize Trump, that's gonna hurt us. So be cool, okay? Follow my lead.
Whatever the virus, whatever the situation, if people start freaking out and buying all the toilet paper, there's going to be issues.
They were fighting over toilet paper, and you had Trump saying things weren't that bad.
Right. So the question, when they told people not to wear masks, they didn't want to run on the masks. That's kind of where I start to wonder, okay, I know you don't want to instill panic, but how many lies is it okay to tell to circumvent panic?
Yeah, how many? How many? This is actually a question we've asked ourselves. How many lies is it okay to tell? I mean, maybe a couple. I don't know. But once you cause the deaths of over 100,000, then I start to question it. This narrative, right? We have two narratives, by the way, that we need to deconstruct. Trump doesn't want to create panics. He is so calm. He is so wise. He is such a stable force for this country that he will say anything to just not create panics. We are talking about a man who said that Mexico was sending over rapists and criminals. We are talking about a man who said that we needed to ban Muslims from entering this country because we were in such chaos and disarray. This is a man who said that he was going to lock up his political opponent because she was such a criminal. This is a man... Do I need more examples? I can probably find a few more. Oh, this is a man who said that a caravan of refugees coming to the country was like an invasion, that we were going to be invaded. This is a man who said that our cities were on fire, that when the looting starts, the shooting starts, and sent in federal troops to cities where they were not wanted because he was claiming the cities were just in total chaos, devoid of law and order. That's the man we're talking about. So forgive me if I do not buy that he was really concerned about creating a panic. Do you think it might be the case that he was actually scared about admitting to a grave situation during an election year? And what was the other thing they said? How many? Oh, yes. So, avoiding a panic by lying, by just completely misleading the public to a deadly extent, right? To a deadly extent. If George W. Bush, or let's say Rudy Giuliani, after 9/11, if they had come out to the press and to the American people and said, "What? The towers didn't fall down. What are you talking about? They got hit a little bit. They didn't fall down. What, you think people died? No. I mean, like a couple of people got hurt. It's not like people died. What are you guys talking about? The towers didn't fall down. We weren't attacked by a terrorist organization. Wait, Osama bin who? Where are you guys getting this from? The fake news media is at it again, trying to create a panic. If they'd said this, if they completely lied about that, because obviously 9/11 was an event that threw this country into a moral panic. If they had said that, then later we found out, we called them out, and they said, well, I didn't want to create a panic. Would that be okay? Really, would that be okay? I'm about to praise Rudy Giuliani here, but his leadership during that time is actually, it's the perfect example of how we deal with things. He did not downplay the danger. He did not downplay the gravity of the situation, but he did tell people we can get through this. If we listen to reason, if we do not let fear guide our decisions, guide our lives, if we realize that together we can overcome this, then we can do this. That was the perfect message. And of course, that's why Rudy Giuliani had so much public credibility in the first place. Of course, ironically, I'm talking about a man who is one of the Trump defenders. So, yeah, I guess the whole thing is a little tragic / funny.
I think I think a lot of one of the big reasons why they were saying don't buy masks, I need a mask, is because it was not necessarily just about a run on the masks. It was about creating a panic, convincing people you needed a mask would have them be like, for what, and then they would panic in other ways. People don't realize how I don't know if you remember all the memes that came out where people were like, oh no, the economy, and there was like the one where the Earth was blowing up. I think Elon Musk posted it. It's like an astronaut on the moon, and there was like a comet blasting through the Earth, and the Earth was exploding, and he was like, the economy. And there was one where dinosaurs were like walking around, and meteors were falling down, and the dinosaurs were like, the economy. The funny thing is, people don't realize what the economy means. Do you know what the word economy means?
Eco, something to do with the Earth.
It comes from the Greek oikonomia, meaning household management. I learned that from a rap news video from like 10 years ago or something. Ooh. Yeah, anyway, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Oikonomia or something like that. And the general idea is that when people are saying, like, the economy, oh no, you're talking about quite literally the organizational structure that guarantees food travels from the farm to the table. And when that breaks down, and it did, what happened? Supply chain disruption, shortages, people lose their jobs. A lot of it had to do with the lockdown, for sure. But we were seeing, like, dairy farms just dumping all the milk. We saw farms just shoveling everything into the dirt. And that's why the economy matters. So, yeah, Trump did the right thing. I read this story, and they frame it like he...
Okay. Yeah, going back to this whole thing, right? What options did Trump have? We have other means of giving people relief during a crisis, right? We don't have to depend on the economy, which is, I'm assuming you're talking about, private marketplaces, privatized structures. Like, we can turn to the government. That's one of the things the government is there for, is to provide during a time of crisis. Kind of one of its things. Like, Other countries were faced with this similar dilemma. Did they just chuck people out into the virus and said, well, we need to get people food, so just go out there and get it. Keep the economy going. Like, Tim is basically defending that point people were making that, yes, it's okay to sacrifice human lives for the economy. We have alternatives. We have other means. Other countries displayed this. During this exact same time, dealing with the exact situation, they turned to public infrastructure to provide for people, to provide relief. And they don't have our deaths per population. They don't have our crumbling economy. And they're actually starting to overcome lockdowns. They're actually starting to overcome the virus to the point where lockdowns are being discontinued. In some places like New Zealand, I think they've completely wiped out COVID. I don't think they've had a case in a few weeks. Obviously, the United States can't be compared directly to those countries, but you're telling me that we don't have the means, the public infrastructure to provide relief to our citizens, while Germany, the UK, all these other places do? Not full screen.
Intentionally misled Americans. Come on, man.
I mean, you can't tell.
Like, he just acted like that was not literally what happened. Like, even giving Trump a charitable kind of excuse here, right? Like, well, he didn't want to create a panic. Even accepting that premise, it's still misleading people. Downplaying something is a textbook example of misleading someone. Literally, no matter how you spin it. That's just what the word means. But Tim can't even concede that. He can't even concede that Trump misled people. Because that's so much more inexcusable, right? Like, who is comfortable with saying, the president misled people, and that's okay? So Tim has to change definitions now just to defend Trump. And again, he's not even just defending him like, well, guys, like, we have to understand where he was coming from. He's not doing that. He's saying, this was great. I have tremendous respect for what he did. Like, this is leadership at its finest. Like, why can't he just, if he wants to defend Trump, why can't he just say, well, guys, he didn't want to create a panic. Let's understand, what would you do in his place? Right? Like, what would you do? Like, there was no reasonable way to defend Trump here. So Tim is committing to the most diluted arguments.
People everything. It's not his job. We have secrecy for a reason. As much as it can become dangerous, I think. You have to, we have walls because you can't show everybody everything you're doing. People make plans in private because
Sometimes people want to walk around naked in their house, man.
Oftentimes.
And if you open, oftentimes, I mean, for real, real. And if you open up the blinds, you can get in trouble.
It's true. Literally,
Yeah.
it's illegal to expose yourself.
Yes.
So
we have blinds for that. I lean very, very much towards.
This is weird. First off, this other guy's way worse than Adam. Already, I hate him worse than Adam. Adam was stupid. Maybe I just got so used to Adam, but this guy, it's not his job to tell us things. Fucking really? It's not his job to inform people during a crisis, to keep us updated on new developments, like how it gets spread and how dangerous it is. That's not his job. And then Tim compares Trump keeping that information from us. He compares that to walking around your house naked.
Transparency. I think in the past, a lot of people would say that I was like a transparency absolutist, but that's just not true. But I'm very, very much for public transparency in the sense, if it's happening in the public has a right to know. There are private things, especially when it pertains, and so that this does include a lot of government functions. But I do draw the line at, if we just published everything that we did, that we wouldn't exist as a country.
No, we'd be undermined. We would undermine ourselves, it's almost like.
Well, our foreign adversaries would take all the information, use it, create data sets and machine learning prediction models, and they would undermine, like, yeah, they would be able to track and predict and just disrupt literally everything we did. We'd be under complete control.
And the monarchy never would have been overthrown. George Washington was
totally.
totally into secrecy. I mean, he was great at
Well,
spying. And
I mean, I've watched.
I feel like this other guy here isn't even buying it. Like, he's going through the motions for Tim. It's like he's doing Tim a solid. He's like, yeah, George Washington was secretive. Yeah. Right? Right? Yeah. So, Tim, oh my God, that is a screenshot right there. So, Tim is making no distinctions here as to why we should keep certain things private and make other things transparent. Like, he didn't make that distinction. He's like, well, normally I'm for being transparent, but if we were transparent all the time, that would undermine us. Well, okay, but so what's different about the stuff that should be transparent from this? This is a public health crisis. You said public things should be made public, available to the public. So Tim didn't even try to make that distinction. He's really good at convincing you like he's about to make an argument, so it's kind of like he's tricking you into thinking he did. Like, he sets up an argument. He doesn't follow through, but, some people in his audience will be like, okay, cool. Yes. Thank you, Tim. By the way, let's go down to his comments. Tim Pool has, like, the worst comment section, by the way. If Trump told America that this was a horrific pandemic, the left would accuse him of fear-mongering and creating a panic. No, we were upset that he was downplaying it the entire time. He instead is careful with his words and maintains a positive attitude towards it, and the media still attacks him for being positive, claiming it creates a false sense of optimism. Do they not realize how insane that sounds? Bruh. Kasparian, dude. First off, optimism is not the same. It's not the same as being delusional. It's not the same as lying. If Trump were like, guys, this is a serious virus. We have to take every precaution we can. But if we follow the scientists' advice, if we follow the CDC regulations, if we keep a level head about this thing, then we will beat it. That's optimism. That's optimism. Did you realize no lies there? None. You can be optimistic and not lie to people and, again, lead to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Like, you realize how many people refuse to wear a mask or comply with lockdowns because they trusted Trump over the fake news, right? Woodward hates Trump, and this is his way of trying to destroy him. Okay. He wrote a book about Trump and wrote in there, yeah, Trump told me that he's trying to downplay the virus. Okay. And Trump told, like, if you listen to the tape, Trump just says this freely. Like, Woodward's like, oh, okay. I see. Like, he cannot believe what Trump is telling him. Woodworth, this is despicable. Oh, Woodworth. Worth a lot of wood, that Woodward. This is despicable. The people must know of Trump. People, that's why you waited for 6 months to let everyone know in your book you're trying to sell. See, okay, that is an interesting argument, and it deserves to be talked about. Why did Woodward wait till now? The thing is, I don't know if Woodward had come out with this information immediately. I don't know what it wouldn't have stuck, right? Because we have this quote here of Trump's in contrast with his actions and his rhetoric later on, right? Now, him choosing to publish this book before an election year, it's strategic. That's one way of putting it. he's definitely using this information strategically. But yeah, regardless of Woodward's motivations, I mean, it doesn't change the core facts about what we're discussing. It doesn't change Trump's lies. It doesn't change his actions. So if you want to criticize Woodward, honestly, I won't. I won't defend him. But let's stick to the important thing. Trump, I didn't want to create panic. Democrats, we're going to keep your businesses shut down and let as many of our own cities burn as it takes to convince you not to vote Orange Man. Well, they kept the businesses shut down because they didn't want to spread a panic, because they were being honest with how dangerous it was. And let as many of our... So the Democrats do not have a burning city committee. Like, they don't meet in rooms and say, so the city's on fire. Do we vote to deal with that? Yay or nay? Then everyone's like, nay. Like, police are being utilized in these situations. Like, we don't want federal troops coming in and throwing protesters into unmarked vans. Like, when you call in federal troops, you are escalating that situation in a very serious manner. So, no, the Democrats are not just letting cities burn down. And just, yeah, Trump 2020, everything here. Media is the true enemy of the people. So, judge me by my comments section, I say.
National treasure.
Tell me more.
With Nicolas Cage.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No, it looked
I'm
okay.
kidding. It's the one where Nicolas Cage, like the founding fathers, had like secret gold or something hidden under DC or whatever.
Do they? I was gonna ask for a spoiler.
Like finds a secret book. It's an old. There's two of them. They need to make a third one because it's really hokey and hilarious. Anyway, but yeah, they definitely look. We've had code. There's a reason why we want to conceal information because information is valuable. In this regard, I think the issue is. Could you imagine if Trump came out and said we're all gonna die?
No, it'd be crazy.
They would be like Trump created a panic.
Of course.
There's nothing the man could do or say.
The best people still.
There are only two approaches you can take. Everything is fine and we don't have to worry. We're all going to die. You got to choose one or the other, man. Which is it? Which is it, man? What? Okay. Check that out later.
Kind of panicked, but they didn't really panic, and that would have been devastating. If more than toilet paper were.
The conspiracy people were on it. They already had 3 months supply of toilet paper, and they were sitting there shining their gun, being like, y'all are late to the party. They got the toilet paper stocked up. Let me read a little bit of this just to get some more context into what they're saying. They say President Trump's head.
Also, just notice this title. You can't say the media omitted the key context when they included the context in the article. Like, Tim read the quote from the article. So, yeah, they included the context.
Popped up during a top secret intelligence briefing in the Oval Office on January 28th when the discussion turned to the coronavirus outbreak in China. Quote, this will be the biggest national security threat you face in your presidency, National Security Advisor Robert C. O'Brien told Trump, according to a new book by Washington Post associate editor Bob Woodward. This is going to be the roughest thing you face. Matthew Pottinger, the deputy national security advisor, agreed. He told the president that after reaching contacts in China, it was evident that the world faced a health emergency on par with the flu pandemic of 1918, which killed an estimated 50 million people worldwide. 10 days later, Trump called Woodward and revealed that he thought the situation was far more dire than what he had been saying publicly. So Trump is candidly speaking to journalists. This was crazy to me. They did a poll and they asked Republicans, how do you is the number of deaths like okay in terms of are you? It's hard to iterate properly, I suppose. But the idea was, are you happy with the job that was done? And they basically said we find the amount of dead to be acceptable in the context of we were told it was going to be like 6 million.
Oh wow!
I remember I was doing videos and I was like, wow, the New York Times is predicting could be from like 2 to 6 million. This is crazy.
We got one of those new purple.
Hey, it ain't over yet, y'all. Like, it's not even slowing down. So we had projections that this would be, that we would be at 300 dead by January. And now people are saying we're going to be at 400,000 dead. I'm at 300,000. 400,000 dead, though, is the new projection for the end of the year. It's not over yet, but even regardless, I mean, okay, so yes, journalists were saying, okay, we might have 1 million dead. That's how deadly this thing is. Which, I mean, if we did not take the precautions, right, we would certainly have millions of people dead, like, obviously. But switch over to Trump. I don't think it's acceptable that the president of the United States was calling this thing a hoax, saying it was no more deadly than the flu, and then we have over 200,000 dead. That is unacceptable to me. So, who are we trying to hold accountable here? The journalists report on this stuff. Trump is actually the leader. He's the person who will make decisions. We're trying to hold him accountable. We're trying to understand why he let 200,000 die and counting when he estimated that, this would be no more deadly than the flu and that it would go away in the summer. Oh, dang it.
Massive percentage of the population, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out we're in 180 something thousand. And that's horrifying. And that's, it's really bad. But look at this. Trump was warned it could be 50 million people.
That's crazy.
Worldwide.
It's terrifying. But who
Well, yeah, worldwide. I mean, we have a population of over 7 billion, right? So what does that have to do with the American death toll?
I get that you got to go worst case scenario. Some people's jobs are to, extrapolate worst case scenario and plan for the worst case scenario, but that will cause crazy panic. And
they wanted him to do it because that's a conclusion that's being drawn here. Here's some quotes. You just breathe the air and that's how it passed, Trump said in the February 7th call. And so that's a very tricky one. It's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus. This is deadly stuff, the president repeated for emphasis. At that time, Trump was telling the nation that the virus was no worse than a seasonal flu, predicting it would soon disappear and insisting that the U.S. government had it totally under control. It would be several weeks before he would publicly acknowledge the virus was no ordinary flu and that it could be transmitted through the air. Trump admitted to Woodward on March 19th, is where he said, I don't want to create a panic. Aside from exploring Trump's handling of the pandemic, Woodward's new book, Rage, covers race relations, diplomacy with North Korea, and a range of other issues that have arisen during the past 2 years. The book also includes brutal assessments of Trump's conduct from former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, former Director of National Intelligence Daniel Coates, and others. The book is based in part on the 18 on-the-record interviews Woodward conducted with the president between December and July. Woodward writes that other quotes in the book were acquired through deep background conversations with people in which information is divulged and exchanges recounted without the people being named. I'm not going to read through all of this because the gist of we have the gist of things. But I just got to point out, man, have you heard about some of the things that Trump has done recently?
Enlighten me.
The Israeli peace deal.
Yeah.
Israel, UAE.
Wow, dude. Wow. We're just switching topics. I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, he lied. And that caused the deaths of many, many people. But did he hear? Did you hear about this deal he helped make between Israel and the United Arab Emirate? Like, I knew as soon as I heard that story that, like, no matter, okay, fine, even if it's an accomplishment, which apparently really was not as much credited to Trump as Trump will credit to himself, but whatever, that's what he do, that how he be. Even if I accept that, what does it have to do with the situation back here at home? Right? I mean, what? So I'm supposed to think that Trump is a great guy now, as he neglects a domestic crisis to help form a relationship between Israel and why do I keep forgetting the name? The United Arab Emirate. I really hope I'm getting that right. I'm sorry. And yes, Netanyahu agreed in this deal that he would not annex the West Bank. And then he told his supporters, actually, this is just a pause. We'll, still have plans to do that. So let's really not get carried away here. Don't tell me that it's fine. He let hundreds of thousands of people die because he scored a victory of debatable significance overseas. Like,
yeah. Then there was the Kosovo-Serbia peace deal, which included recognition of Israel. And now he's going to be drawing down our troop numbers by about 2,000 in Iraq, bringing them troops back. That's good, right?
It's great, dude.
It's great. So what do you consider yourself politically?
I'm very moderate. I don't play party politics. I just look for the smartest guy or woman in the room and try and support them.
You were saying like a week ago that you didn't like Trump. You were like,
no, he's a bombast. He yells. He says things like really crude, and he alienates people by talking about the Democratic Meyers is alienating 40 million people. So that causes anger amongst those people, and then that's not what we need right now. We need like cohesion.
Yeah. A lot of people who really support Trump will push back on that, but I got to tell you, man, I've been in Uber rides. I've talked to regular people, and I hear the same thing often. They're like, I really like what he's doing for the country, but I wish he wouldn't tweet so much, or I wish he would kind of chill out, things like that. And it's tough. I wonder if it's because he really wants to fire up his really loyal base.
Yeah, probably.
And keep that fire burning.
Yeah.
So he's very raw, or maybe it's just who Trump is. He is a bombastic fella.
I don't know. People that know him say that he's exactly like that in person.
I've actually heard the opposite. I've actually heard he's pretty boring in person. Seth MacFarlane hosted the roast of him, right, at Comedy Central, and meeting with Trump and working with Trump. There was really nothing spectacular about his personality, and that's something that has been stated by other people who knew him. So, regardless of who he is as a person, right, like when the cameras are off, when he's just with his close associates, that doesn't really matter. He told Mike Pence to not cooperate with Jay Inslee, the governor of Washington. He told Pence to not cooperate with Jay Inslee because Jay Inslee wasn't loyal. He said really mean things about Trump. It really goes beyond tweets here, guys. Like, I really prefer to stick to Trump's pure policy because we get so wrapped up in his rhetoric. It's such a distraction to me about what really truly makes his presidency dangerous. But there does come a point when, like, we're setting a precedent here. Like, are we okay with presidents withholding aid from states suffering a pandemic because he doesn't like the governor? Like, we cannot be comfortable with that. We cannot be comfortable about setting a precedent for that. Not full screen. God damn it.
But it seems like a character.
No. You know why I think it's real? He did 18 on-the-record interviews with Woodward. He straight up was talking about what he was doing, what was going on. He was very candid and transparent. It's interesting because the Intercept wrote this article a while ago saying Trump is the most honest, the least honest and the most honest president we've ever had.
Good one.
And they mention it's because Trump will lie about a lot of things. Like, for example, he tweeted, "I never called John McCain a loser."
But he did.
He tweeted John McCain. He tweeted an article like Donald Trump, John McCain is a loser. He wasn't referencing McCain's service though, and I think that's what he was. I don't necessarily want to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. Like, I can't assume what his intent was. He straight up said, "I never called him a loser." He did. And it's weird, silly things like that where it's like, is that even that important? You could just been like, look, I called the guy a loser because he lost in 2008, but I have nothing but respect for his service. And,
he was literally calling him a loser because he lost the election.
Exactly. Yeah, so someone brought it up.
Okay. I've brought it up so many times and I will continue. I like guys who don't get captured. Like, you're not literally using the word loser in that case. But that's the implication. I mean, that's not even the implication. You're mocking him for being captured during war and being tortured. So,
like, he was being interviewed and he was like, nah, he's a loser. He lost. And then they're like, he's a war hero. And Trump was like, nah, he's not a war hero. He got caught. I prefer people who didn't get caught.
That's brutal.
It is brutal. Yeah, but you know what? There's a really funny comment I heard where someone said something like, conservatives hated John McCain more than they were concerned about Trump's statements on, like, military service.
Yeah, I wasn't a big McCain fan. Are you? Did you like him?
No,
I'm not into warmongers in general.
Right, yeah, exactly. That guy's smiling pictures of people. He's like, we're going to go blow stuff up.
Well,
No.
I would rather have somebody who lies about tiny things than someone who lies about big things like Obama did.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What?
TPP, doing it with a smile, that can be much more insidious.
But
what?
here's
No. I don't know who you are, person in the corner who barely talks. I don't know your name, but coronavirus is a bit of a big deal. It's a bit of a problem. Like, is that her job? Like, okay, when we start to drift away into actual reality, where Trump is not this counterculture, anti-establishment hero who will save us from the establishment. When we start to stray from that, you got to come in. You got to tell us, well, I mean, what about Obama? Right? I mean, what about Obama? Guys, what about Obama? Remember? He said you could keep your doctor. Then Tim is like, oh, shit, shit, what was I about to do? And then they rush back into everything.
Here's what the Intercept brought up was Trump. I love this interview. He just announced we're doing this big weapons deal with Saudi Arabia, and that was like he just said it,
Dude,
you know.
and he's honest. I mean, is he honest or is he a liar, or is it both? He's not. He's mostly honest, right? Like these protests.
Yes.
Well,
I think
it's not a binary thing. You can definitely be honest about certain things and lie about others. I think there's a consistency to the lies, right? Trump will lie about things to make him look better, right? He said that millions voted illegally because he couldn't handle the fact that he lost the popular vote. That's a great example. He lies to stoke racial fears. He said that Muslims were cheering 9/11, like American Muslims were cheering 9/11 in the streets. When it comes to the stuff he's honest about, I don't know if it's that he doesn't know better, like they just kind of forgets that this is like he's in these rooms with the deep state people, the military industrial complex people, and he's in this bubble, right? And he walks out of that bubble and kind of forgets that this is not something we're supposed to share with the American people. He forgets about that barrier. That's what I think it is. I think it's that he just kind of forgets that there's that world and the world of the people, right? Of the American people, and we have to keep up that barrier. So I think there is consistency in what he's honest about and what he lies about.
Mostly peaceful.
I think it's really hard to break down, but I think Donald Trump lies about some of the stupidest things ever that he should just be upfront about.
Right.
But then he's really open and honest about a bunch of other things
Which
that
is
he's
key.
not supposed to be.
I know.
Like, this is crazy. They're dragging Trump for being honest with a journalist. This is nuts. They complain that he lies to journalists all the
No, we're dragging him for lying to the American people. Like, it's not. Why didn't you lie to Bob Woodward too? Why didn't you do that? It's that, wait, you just told Bob Woodward that it's deadly and that you want to downplay it while you're continuing to lie to the American people. Like, nobody's mad that he was honest with a journalist.
time, and you can't trust him. Then when he's honest, this what do they expect?
Yeah, this is just people that want him down.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. You know what my favorite thing about this Woodward release is? Trump telling Woodward that he drank the Kool-Aid.
Dude, I wonder if he even knows where that's from.
Drinking the Kool-Aid?
Yeah, which is from the Jonestown Massacre. Where what's the guy's name? I don't remember
Do you know the guy's
name.
name?
Jim Jones. What? It's in the name. Jonestown. Sorry. That's petty. Okay. Sorry.
Took them all to Jonestown and then had them all drink Kool-Aid laced with cyanide, tearing babies away from their mothers.
That's nightmarish,
Yeah,
dude.
it really is.
Yeah. That happened in our lifetime, right?
Yeah,
Like,
was it the 70s maybe?
Was it?
Jonestown, something, maybe the 80s.
1978.
really?
November 18,
and they all drank
1978. Mass murder, suicide of members of the California-based People's Temple cult.
Did you know that the wrong mattress protector
I hate these
ruin
commercials.
the feel of your mattress?
That was Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Jonestown.
I didn't
Makes
realize it was
sense.
that long ago.
Jonestown.
What was that thing that happened in like the 90s where they all thought they were going to go on a spaceship or something?
Oh my gosh, they still have their website up.
Do
I
they
remember
really?
that. They have a
Whoa. That's
website from the
Heaven's
super
Gate.
90s.
Wow.
They
Oh
maintain
my gosh.
it. Yeah.
Hail
Jim
Bob?
Jones.
You don't want to ride the tail, Hail Bob?
I don't know who it was, but their website, they left 2 of their members alive to maintain their website. I remember reading how weird this was. Yeah, I'm going to have to look it up. I don't remember who it was or what cult they were with.
You said the name of the cult earlier, whatever it was.
Heaven's Gate?
Yeah, I think
I
it
think it
was
was
that-
Heaven's Gate. Yeah,
yeah.
let me see if I can find the site. I might tweet it out.
I
Yeah, so
remember
we're
watching-
just now I think they're going to stray into the usual topics of like weird shit like cults and ghosts. Yeah. Lying as a president, like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Don't lie in a way that will lead to deaths, like that people will die because they listened to you. Because you're the president, but you lied, so they died. But you lied, so they died. It's pretty, I don't know, cut and dry. Oh, another screenshot. So petty, y'all. So much for the tolerant left, am I right? Yep. So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are about this whole thing. If you're not upset, if you're really cool with what Trump did, sure. Yeah, drop that in the comments. Maybe we'll have a nice little discussion about it. So thanks, guys. Yeah, take care. I'm sure I'll be doing some more videos soon. And yeah,